Welcome to Mick and the Fat Man talking music, life, and everything from the 60s through to the noughties. Well, welcome everybody to Mick and the Fat Man talking life, music, and everything, episode number 20. And we are coming to you live from the Wiley Park Hotel. What would probably regard as one of the most mediocre hotels at its best. And we've been knocking over a couple of Carlton drafts, which are icy cold and brought to you from that famous Aussie brewer, Asahi.
I think you're pronouncing it wrong, Jeff. I think it's Asahi. Asahi. Yeah.
Anyway, they're a good Aussie brewer. They do a Carlton draft, which is I don't know, how would you describe it, Mick? It's a sort of a spicy, sort of a yeasty sort of a brew. It's a very interesting. It's mediocre, really, isn't it?
On a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're sitting in the public bar at Wiley Park, and Mick, I'll get your advice here, mate. What would you call that colour of the carpet? What's that? What is that colour?
I think Dulux has a colour similar, and it's bodily fluid.
That would be it. That's it. You can see it, and I do love the way that your feet stick to the floor. It's kind of reassuring. You won't fall over.
Well, as we've talked about before, at the Coogee Oceanic, same deal. You stayed stuck to the floor so you didn't fall over when you were watching your favourite band.
And as long as you could hold onto a table, you never went anywhere. Didn't need to. Couldn't. Once your feet were firmly planted, you didn't go anywhere. So, look, we're loving the Wiley Park Hotel. There's some really nice takeaway food outlets across the way. There's for those who are interested, there's 10 delightfully decored rooms upstairs where you can spend the night. You're quite close to public transport, easy to get into the city of Sydney, and you're on the Punch Bowl line, and that's a friendly line. So look, folks, welcome to Mick and the Fat Man. And Mick, what have you been listening to this week, mate?
Mate, I went right back into the dim, dark days of early Australian rock, and I've found Eleanor Rigby by The Zoot. It's a wonderful song. Look, at the song itself, we've talked numerous times in recent months about the quality of songwriting.
Yep.
And this is a perfectly written song with it's a song that questions the existence. Paul McCartney wrote it.
Yep.
And it talks about, it's basically Father Mackenzie writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear, no one comes near. And he's questioning his existence. Eleanor Rigby is questioning, what's it all about? What's it all about, Alfie? What's going on? Why am I here? Yeah. And so the song itself has got a really great basis of lyrics and meaning. And then Zoot trying to make their mark on Australia. It's about the only place they did make a mark, but that's life. Yeah. And they've thrown in some faster pace and crashing guitar. Really, really very good treatment. It's still respectful of the song, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep, great version, great song. Wouldn't mind listening to it again. Agreed. Well, I've been listening to an album called 10 Songs by an artist called T. Wilds. Singer-songwriter, lives in the Blue Mountains west of Sydney, and she's got a sort of a dreamy sort of album there. She's been around a little bit, and I was reading, I think it's on her bio, that it says that she's landing somewhere between the sophistication soul of Sade, the wistful yearning of Nico, and the country tin soul of Gillian Welsh. So... and it all adds up to indie folk. But at the end of the day, it's a bloody good album. She's a great singer, songwriter, and highly recommended. So I'll put a link to that there. It's only a brand new album out, but there's so much indie folk nowadays. I don't know what folk is anymore. I don't know whether is there a genre called folk. Because if you look on Spotify, everything's kind of indie folk, whatever that is.
I've got to tell you, anything that name checks Nico as a cross reference for folk has really got to be questionable. I love Nico.
I know.
Anything out of the Velvet Underground, but Nico and folk
No.
in the same building.
No, but we're really cross referencing the wistful yearning of Nico. Yeah. Wistful, yearning, Nico. They're three words that just kind of get you.
They do it. I must say my life is now complete because I never thought that I would hear those three words in a line.
No, that I. Anyway, mate, you've got the bag sitting up on the desk today for some reason, up on the bar, I should say, and the barmaid's been eyeing it off because she's obviously thinking that glow light school bag's a bloody nice little grab. If I can grab hold of that bag, I might be able to get out of here with it. What do you got rattling around inside it, mate?
Well, got a few things in there, mate, and it should be a lot of fun today. Last year, you remember that, like a lot of things, Facebook circulated something to help people break the monotony of lockdown in Australia and all around the world.
Yep.
And one of those required people to list their 10 favourite albums by putting a picture up of the cover, one album per day.
Yeah.
No comments, nothing else, just the cover.
Mm.
You can imagine how that frustrated me.
You loved it. I remember you saying, "Oh, fucking all right," something along those lines. But your enthusiasm was, I think, a little bit understated.
Understated, I think, yeah, because it's not that simple to come up with your top 10 and then to not be able to put caveats on every single choice.
That's right. It is very difficult. I've kind of vacillated, and I chose 10 albums this time just quickly. Things that kind of influenced me, things that influenced me when I was younger, and then things that I still play regularly today. So kind of a bit of a jab at both of those things. But when we did this last year, I did manage to sneak in Not Fragile by Bachman Turner Overdrive. And it's funny, because what's Bachman's first name? I can't think of his first name.
Carl
Bachman. No, what's
Randy.
Randy. He was in the news just the other day because he had a Gretsch guitar stolen, I don't know, like 40 years ago, and it's been found in Japan.
My God.
And he was just one of these rock and roll sort of websites, and they said, Randy Turner, is it Randy Turner or Randy Bachman?
Yeah, I don't know the Turner. I don't know his name, but it was Randy and Carl Bachman brothers.
Oh, right, Randy Bachman. Yeah, Randy Bachman found his Gretsch guitar. I didn't know I was missing, of course, but anyway, he came up in the news the other day. But I didn't put him in this time, but nonetheless, I did like the album Not Fragile. It's kind of a bit of fun, a bit of a fun album. Greatest album of all time? Nah. Did it make it in the top 500? Nah. Still fun to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what do you got hanging around in there that's sort of burning a hole in your pocket?
Well, look, it's important with something like this that, and we found this as we talked about the top 500 songs a couple of episodes back. Songs are very different to selection of your favourite artist, which is very different to selection of your favourite album. So an individual song, it's an individual piece that you listen to in isolation, and that can be a wonderful song. And some people only produce one good song in their life.
And some people don't do that.
Well, that's right. So even a one-hit wonder is an achievement. So,
I mean, and we go back to our last show, Johnny Farnham, was there. And I think Sadie, the cleaning lady, is probably one of the worst songs to ever make it into a top 40, but at least he had a song.
He did.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But anyway, he did produce some good music later on.
He did some later on stuff, when he changed his style just a touch.
Just a touch.
So an album itself, for this particular discussion, it's a collection of around 6 or 10 songs generally, depending on so many other things, that stands as a collected body of work. For example, Bowie's Heroes. You know my view on Bowie. The song Heroes is one of my favourite songs of all time, beyond question. But the album's not. It's not one of my favourite Bowie albums.
Okay.
There's a bit of stuff in there that doesn't excite me all that much.
Yeah.
And And so, but the song is. So, are we talking today about our favourite artist, which is, again, a whole different ballgame. And many of our episodes have been about our favourite artists. People like Warren Zevon.
Something that is interesting, I think, is that the advent of digital music extended the length of an album. And if you go back to when we just listened to albums, one of the longest albums there was back in the day, from my memory, was Tubular Bells, 25 minutes a side.
Yep.
Most albums didn't go that long. They went for, well, in fact, one of my albums went for 30 minutes in total, which was the La-Di-Dahs, 15 minutes a side.
Yep.
But in general, they were somewhere around about 30 to 40, maybe 45 minutes. Whereas when they went to CDs and now digital, an album can be up to an hour.
And often are.
And sometimes
but they fill it with crap. They fill it with crap. Yes.
Take a couple out.
Yeah. Well, you'll recall many, many years ago, before CDs were devised, Mick Jagger was quoted as saying that you lose so much sound quality if your side is longer than 23 minutes.
Yeah, and also if you look at and the other thing with digital is that you get these anniversary releases or remasters and stuff like that, and they add a couple of extra songs onto the bottom. Once again, in many cases where they shouldn't have, because they really are not worth the ones and zeros that they put into it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Anyway, we move on, please.
Move on. Look, and it's not artists either. We're not talking about my favourite artist. Because your favourite artist, it's built on their body of work and stuff from different parts of their career. For example, John Cale. John Cale, founder member of the Velvet Underground. He easily makes it into my list of favourite artists of all time, but he's had a certain lack of consistency in his albums over the years that makes it hard to find a specific album to fit into your favourite albums list.
He certainly makes it on my list of worst dressed live musicians.
Is that so?
With his skirt. Remember I told you he wears that skirt?
God, you wear one skirt.
Wear one skirt to a bloody concert and bloody fat man's all over you.
Yeah. One goat. So that happens often with an artist with a long career. So even the best fashion choices, just stay around too long.
Yep.
And on the other hand, you look at someone like the Pistols, the Sex Pistols.
Yep.
They only had one album.
Yep.
And
pretty big album.
A pretty damn fine album. Yeah.
Pretty influential.
Yep. So
Mike Oldfield didn't like it.
Didn't like Never Mind the Bollocks?
No, because he reckons it ruined his career.
I bet it did.
Because he was just hitting his stride with Tubular Bells, and the Sex Pistols knocked it off, and Tubular Bells 2, which was another great album, didn't really reach any great dizzy heights as the first one did.
Look, frankly, that's because Tubular Bells 2 wasn't straight after Tubular Bells. He did it later in trying to resurrect his career.
Yeah.
He had another album straight after Tubular Bells called Hergest Ridge.
Oh, that's right.
Which was boring.
Boring.
As hell.
And then he did, didn't he? Oh, I don't remember. Anyway, look, he didn't reach the dizzy heights that he thought he should have, I think.
Yeah.
But was never going to.
Yeah. I loved Tubular Bells. I thought it was great, a lot of fun. But look, he was a session muso who struck it lucky.
I saw it live a couple of years ago with two blokes doing it. So they did the whole album, just these two guys on stage. And as they were getting through to the finale on side one, they were running around playing all the instruments. So the instruments actually sitting on stands and things like that. So they'd go running up and go diddle diddle diddle, go running back over there, and then they get to the end of the song, and everybody's going, "Yeah, that's fantastic." Says, "Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to go away and turn the record over."
That'd be exhausting.
It was really good
to watch as well.
Yeah, no, it was a good show.
Yeah. Look. So for my selections for this, I don't think we'll go through 10 and 10. We might just pick stuff and just throw them in as we go. But I've been accused of.
Ask you a question.
Yep.
Do you go when we hit number one? Is this your favourite album or just one of them?
No, I can't possibly.
Good. I'm the same.
It's I couldn't possibly pick my favourite album, nor my favourite artist, nor my favourite song because there's so many factors.
Okay.
And on any given day that can change it.
All right. So on today, which is somewhere around October 2021. One of the albums which you like a lot is
The Queen is Dead by the Smiths.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, I've got a few here. The Queen is Dead. If you like the Smiths, and God knows I do, it's their third studio album. The Smiths, in many ways, were as influential as the Beatles in the way that they played on music, the way that people approached music after them. So there's a distinct before Smiths and after Smiths, as there's a distinct pre and post Beatles.
Yep.
The music that they churned out, they had a 4-year career, and that was about it. But The Queen is Dead as an album, it's got so many things that I love. It's the song itself, the title track itself, can be seen as a response to "God Save the Queen."
Really?
By the Pistols.
Not by the Queen.
Not by the Queen.
No.
She didn't like it at all.
Because they changed the name for her because it was God Save the King before she got it.
She's been the Queen since before Johnny Lydon was born.
Yeah, I know, but before they gave her the song, it was God Save the King.
That was a different song.
It's the same song, just
different.
They just changed one word. God Save the King.
Yeah.
And it went God Save the Queen, and then Lydon did God Save the Queen.
Yeah.
It's all a bit different.
Where are we going with this?
Oh, well. do go
Queen,
on.
Yeah, the Queen is Dead. But and one of my other favourite albums that I've got here that I can talk about later if we want to is Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols.
Sure.
Yep. But both Stephen Morrissey, the singer for the Smiths, and Johnny Marr, the guitarist, both have an Irish heritage, as does Johnny Lydon.
Yep.
Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols. Both display in their music an overt contempt. Overt, you like that? Overt.
Yeah.
Doesn't get used enough.
And both Morrissey and Lydon are wankers.
In many ways, yes, and have become more so
Mm.
as they've gone on and lose relevance.
Except Morrissey's probably more obnoxious and particularly to his fan base.
More obnoxious than John Lydon.
Mm.
That's a big...
I think it is, because he's done some terrible things in concerts where he just has left the concert early or not showed up late, played for 20 minutes and then walked off and shit like that.
Well, I've got a story about that. Morrissey did tour Australia once, and myself and my brother, when he was still around, we had tickets to go and see Morrissey, and they cancelled the show at the starting time.
What, you're actually in the theatre?
Yeah. We're at the Hordern Pavilion, waiting to get in. Sorry, the show's been cancelled. Morrissey's cancelled it.
Did he cancel the tour?
Too disappointed.
That's contempt. Just utter contempt for your fan base.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But look, in the face of that, some of the people I listen to have been right bastards through their career. Some of the people I rate as my favourites. Lou Reed could never be anybody's favourite individual.
Grumpy old bastard. But I'm assuming he was a grumpy young bastard as well.
He always was.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Morrissey certainly was. However smart he is, he was a bit like we talked last week about Lennon and McCartney, how they played off each other to make great music.
Yep.
Morrissey and Johnny Marr collectively made 4 years' worth of wonderful songs, a terrific body of work for the Smiths, influential as hell, that have changed British indie music ever since. Yeah, and a bit like Nirvana, I love to see young people wandering around with Smiths t-shirts on, or pictures of their record covers on the t-shirts, and I think, wow, you weren't even born when the Smiths split up.
And from memory, I think the Rolling Stones Top 500 only had one Smith song, two, and I think you could probably pick half a dozen Smith songs and easily belt half a dozen songs off some of that list.
Well, I think any Smith, the worst Smith song could belt Kelly Clarkson out of any top 500.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. No, yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kelly fucking Clarkson.
Exactly. Morrissey writes really nicely. The song "The Queen is Dead." It's got all sorts of references. It's a bit like the poets like T.S. Eliot and people like that who've got all sorts of stuff woven into the lyrics. And I won't bother going on and on about that. But he's really, really funny. So it's really unusual that his lyrics are funny and humorous and witty and self-deprecating and all of those good things, and he's a jerk. My favourite line of any Smith song is he's referencing Stephen Miller, who broke into Buckingham Palace in 1982. You know, the fellow who broke into the palace and got into the Queen's rooms.
I do.
And had a chat with her.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
he was sitting on a bed.
In a nut house.
He was sitting on a bed, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he didn't do anything.
No.
He just had a chat to her and got arrested and sent to prison. But that's another story. So he says, "So I broke into the palace with a sponge and a rusty spanner. She says, 'I know you and you cannot sing.' I said, 'That's nothing. You should hear me play piano.'" Which is a wonderful little rhyme there. But it's got some really nice stuff, some really, really touching. The album itself has got some other great, beautiful songs. There's a song called "I Know It's Over," which compares the end of a relationship to being buried alive. Yeah. He's over the many years, we've discussed Morrissey, and he's certainly been a miserable bugger.
Just miserable.
But it's one thing to be miserable; it's another thing to be miserable and intelligent with it, right? So he certainly uses wonderful imagery, which I'd love to be able to write and think of some of those things.
I still like Morrissey's albums. I still think he can knock out a damn fine tune.
He hasn't done it consistently.
No. There's some, like a lot of artists, they don't necessarily consistently put out great albums. And he's the same. He can put out he can certainly write a great song, but then may produce a less than great album, mediocre album.
Well, and The Queen is Dead is a good example of that. Johnny Marr, his playing is lovely. It's light. It's been described as golden cascades of tinkling sound in some places. Yeah. I know. But when you hear it, you think, oh yeah, I wouldn't have used that phrasing, but I can see what he's talking about. Yeah. And the balance of Johnny Marr's beautiful playing, beautiful guitar work, against Morrissey's clever lyrics. Miserable maybe, but certainly clever lyrics and great songwriting creates a wonderful album. Forget what else they've done.
Yeah, no, it is a very good album. And, as you said, they're a fine band indeed. Give us another one. Come on.
How about Marquee Moon by Television?
Good album. Like it.
Yeah.
Like it.
Marquee Moon by
cover too. Good cover.
It is. I was trying to work out. There's an art style that cover references, but I don't know what it is. I must confess, and I know even less about art than I know about music. Which really is saying a lot. But Anna, being my wife, being a photographer, tells me that the photograph is a treated Polaroid transfer.
Yeah, I would have thought that too.
Yeah, to create a Gothic style image akin to American Gothic, the painting of the farmer and his wife, him with a pitchfork in front of the barn.
Yes, indeed.
So that's possible. Yep. Marquee Moon is a guitarist's album. A friend of the program, Tim, would probably like this, Marquee Moon. I would hope. And it's stood the test of time for me. It's a lovely album. The title track is 10 minutes long, and it starts with double stop guitar, ding dit, ding dit. And then the drums come in after a period of time, and it's really nice the way that they've done that. All of the instruments, the drums and the bass, and that'll be important for you. Bass, it's all good bass. Being a bass player.
Been a while.
Oh, I love the bass. Yeah, and nothing's mixed away. It's not just a rhythm backing for a good guitarist. It's a band.
Yeah,
and they're all playing their instruments extremely well. High energy feel. Now, when we talked about Rust Never Sleeps by Neil Young, we talked about the difference between normal recording and recording live in the studio.
Yep.
So when the band all plays together and the mics are all on and the sound's washing over between microphones and they're getting that live, that energy that you get with a live album, this album was produced exactly the same. So,
is that right?
Yeah. And a 10-minute song. Anyone who's heard this song, Marquee Moon, by television would know that it is just a hauntingly beautiful song, with certainly really strong guitars. And I don't know what it's about, but doesn't really matter a whole lot. No. But the lyrics are haunting, and the sound is really great with that double stop guitar. It's got, as a band, they've got 2 lead guitarists, Tom Verlaine and Richard Lloyd, and they play lead intertwining over each other. That's why that sound is so interesting. It's really good. It was produced by Andy Johns.
Rugby league player.
Yep. Now, isn't that Matty Johns?
Yeah, his brother's Andrew.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so he didn't come out.
No, they weren't obviously just raping women in hotel rooms. They were doing a bit of music production as well.
But he certainly had a good basis for that then, because he worked on many Rolling Stones albums.
Oh, there you go.
And he worked on all the Led Zeppelin albums.
That's where he's got it from.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of experience.
I thought it was a rugby league culture, but it's not, is it?
No, it's rock and roll culture. Well, rugby league players see himself as a bit of rock and roll stars, so happy days. Yeah,
for sure.
So they selected Andy Johns because he was great at capturing guitar sounds. And what's really funny is that before they got Andy Johns, they considered Eno.
Really?
Yeah. For that particular album.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That would make sense.
They hated it. They hated what Eno did. They did a few demos with him, and they said that Eno's what he captured was very cold and clinical.
Okay.
Because Eno is not a rock and roller.
No, true. He could do good elevator music though.
He could indeed. Yes, he could well have done that, couldn't he?
So I'm gonna jump on there and say you're talking about covers.
Yep.
I'm gonna throw an album at you.
Please do. Not sideways, because
Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here. I love it.
What a cover.
I love that burning out from the image onto the white paper.
Fantastic. And, a man shaking another man's hand while one man's on fire. And it's great. Hypnosis, one of the, was really big in the 70s, churning out album covers, and that was one of the big ones. And Wish You Were Here was, in fact, Gilmour's favourite, one of Gilmour's favourite albums. David Gilmour, the guitarist, one of his favourite albums was Wish You Were Here. It was a little bit not as excited by Dark Side of the Moon as the rest of the world were, because he thought some of the things that were in there are a little bit stupid. And I've said this to you before. I too think Wish You Were Here was one of the great Floyd albums, because it was a true album, Whereas I still think that Dark Side of the Moon was still a bit of a collection of songs, great songs. Jesus Christ, there's some bloody awesome songs on there. But I think Wish You Were Here was more of an album than Dark Side of the Moon. And I love the way that Shine On You Crazy Diamond just builds and builds and builds, and you end up with Welcome to the Machine at the end of side one. What an amazing album. Great album.
And so many production effects. I love when it goes to mono.
Yes, I love it in here.
And yes, look, I totally agree with you. I think for my money, Wish You Were Here is my favourite Pink Floyd album, and it's so subjective though.
Oh, of course.
Because how do you say that something is better or worse than Dark Side of the Moon? One of the greatest albums of all time. And
none of those songs ended up on the top 500. Which
we've already expressed our displeasure with the top 500.
I know, but I just think if money. So two songs that were back in our day when we were growing up, two songs that always were at the top of the list, the best rock songs in the history of the world: "Stairway to Heaven" and "Money." And they used to either flip between the two, and that went on for probably 20 years, where those two songs were right at the pinnacle of some of the best songs of rock and roll. And and Stairway to Heaven's in there, but Money's not. Money is a glorious piece of production. It is an amazing song for the era that it was made in. It is still a classic song, without doubt.
It certainly is. Yeah, but Wish You Were Here Have a cigar.
Have a cigar.
Come in here, dear boy, have a cigar. You're going to go far. Oh, by the way, which one's pink?
That's right. It is a great song, a great shot over the helm of the music industry.
Yeah.
Have a cigar. You're going to go far. We're going to fly high.
Never going to die.
You're going to make it if you try. They're going to love you.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much typified. That started. That sort of signified the start of Roger Waters' disenchantment with everything that wasn't Roger Waters.
Yeah. He's a funny fellow, wasn't he? Eh?
He's a grumpy bastard.
Oh.
Him and Gilmore.
Oh.
Ted said, it's knives at 20 paces.
I know, and they've got back. I think they have got back once, didn't they, for a tour?
Yeah.
But then they've fallen out again after that, and they just can't cope with it. Waters just sort of sticks with churning the wall out over and over again, I think, doesn't he?
He's doing a few things and trying to stick it back to Gilmore for breaking up Pink Floyd.
Move on, boy. Move on. You all should have moved on by now.
You would think so. You're all as rich as Croesus.
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway. What else you got there, mate? What else is tickling you? Yeah.
Tickling my fancy? Well, what about Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols? Now, punk artists can't play. It's loud, it's raucous, it's sweaty, spitty music. And this is all the sort of criticism that came out at the time.
Pretty right.
Well, in some cases, but that was the dressing, right? It's what do you do? And some of the punk bands took up the ethos of you don't need to be able to play; it's your attitude, and that was certainly demonstrated on their records.
Count Me In. What was the punk band that was on Count Me In the other day? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Move on.
The Damned, I think.
Yeah. They were talking about
Rat Scabies. He was a very good drummer.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly it.
Yeah, he was.
What a great name.
He's got a really ordinary name though, and if you want to be in a punk band, you'd have to change it to Terry Jones or something. Something as common as that. So you'd naturally change it to Rat Scabies.
Oh, you would. It's such a natural alternative to Terry. Call me Rat.
Never Mind the Bollocks, produced by Chris Thomas. We've talked about Chris Thomas before.
Yes, we have indeed.
He's gone from producing Queen, Bowie, Eno, Roxy Music, anyone who's anyone in the progressive side of things, to producing the Pistols.
Yeah, what year? Do you remember what year that came out? That album?
October 1977. Now I remember I was in London in November 1977.
Were you?
Yeah, I was
working.
Yeah. Now you remember how back in the day before digital anything at all, it sometimes took months before an album would be released in Europe or America before it got released in Australia. So I happened to be in London when Nevermind the Bollocks got released, and I picked up. It was in short supply, so I picked up one of the first 1,000 copies.
Really?
Yeah, which I recently sold for quite a substantial amount of money, but that's by the by. And I bought it and I brought it back home. You guys didn't like it, naturally.
No, we kind of got. Well, you know what? We got used to it and grew into it, I think is the right term. No, I thought it was. Oh, gee! When I first heard, I thought, "What is this shit? It's shit playing. It's just yelling. It's fucked." I think that's what I would have said.
Yeah, that was kind of it. Yeah. But look what's on it: Anarchy in the UK.
Great song. God
Save the Queen. Pretty Vacant. Holidays in the Sun. I don't want no holidays in the sun. I don't want to go to the New Bilson. Subtle.
Get the sledgehammer out, boys. We're being subtle.
Yeah. God Save the Queen. There's so much musicality in there, and I think you can probably lay some of that at Chris Thomas's feet. But when they're singing No Future in God Save the Queen, that's a stepped harmony. The band they're all going No Future. So in most songs, you'd have all of them at the same time singing No Future. But in fact, what you find is the band goes, no, and half a beat behind comes Rotten and goes in no. So it goes, no future, no.
Okay. Sophistication, perhaps.
Sophistication in a gob safety pin laden punk band.
Interesting.
The album's been described as simply one of the greatest, most inspiring rock records of all time. And that's it. Strip away all the imagery, which it's imagery. That's all it was.
Good cover though, wasn't it?
It was great. Yes, that ransom letter type style.
Yeah, very good.
Punks actually loved glam. The inspiration for punk was glam, UK style glam.
But England did punk so much better than us. I mean, not the music and the bands, the culture of punk. They really did it, with the bloody safety pins and the clothes and the hair. We just had virtually none of that in Australia by comparison.
Look, Australia has always been, people will howl about this, but it's always been comfortably, safely middle class.
Yeah, conservative.
And that comes with the comfortable, safe middle class. Now, I'm not saying it was easy. A lot of people have done a lot of hard work and so on and so on and so on. But England never really recovered in the 20 and 30 years after World War II.
True.
They were a basket case, and so they had nothing to lose, and all they had, all the young people had, was dressing up and throwing themselves wholeheartedly into the movements, whatever the movements were, whether it was glam. People would turn up dressed like David Bowie or with glitter all over them, catching the train to a show.
And so many influential people from Australia went to London because they went to London at that time and before that time, in fact, because Australia was boring, and they went there to be inspired and to inspire.
Too right.
And we just sort of bumbled along.
Nick Cave, the Saints, the Go-Betweens, all went over to London at exactly the time we're talking about of Never Mind the Bollocks, for that energy, that buzz, and look at the type of music they produced. Fantastic stuff. Yeah. And so that's why I love that album. I can remember seeing them on Countdown for the first time. Johnny Rotten sneering, at the camera, spitting out the words. The rest of the band done up with safety pins and so on. It was really something else, and I think Countdown was very good for carrying it because it was the latest fashion. But I think they were shocked as anybody else by what it was. Sure. But they did show the clips for all of those songs that I mentioned. Holidays in the Sun. Starting off with that line. Or Anarchy in the UK, I am an antichrist.
I am an antichrist. That's right. No, it was an impression. It was an album that was meant to shock and did shock, and as you've pointed out, has some fine production features of it as well, with a good producer. Yeah. So, all right, I'll give you that one. I actually do like it nowadays, but I was a little bit too conservative, I think is probably the right word. I was listening to more normal music.
Like what?
So, I don't know, I've mentioned this before, but when I was growing up, I had my older brother who was so he had Beatles albums. I used to love Donovan when I was younger. I
listened to Hurdy Gurdy Man the other day and had to rush to my phone to turn it off. It was so awful.
I used to love Mudslide Slim, and he had a whole bunch of albums, and the Beatles, So the Sgt. Pepper's was, A Day in the Life for me was a revelation. I just love that song, and the album I loved as well. And so, I was heavily influenced by those early albums that I listened to, which were more of your 60s pop really than proper rock music. It wasn't until my mid to late teens that I actually started listening to more edgy things, because really, as I said, I was listening to this early stuff, and Bowie, not Bowie, what I'm saying, Dylan. I loved Dylan and those sorts of stuff. So it was folk, it was pop. That's where I grew up, and there was a healthy amount of music in our house that I could listen to of that genre. So that's where I kind of came from, and that's why I was more conservative in my music at a younger age. So certainly the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, and Janis Joplin. He had both Janis Joplin, Pearl, and Got Them Old Cosmic Blues Mama. And I love those two albums. I really do. And they're a toss-up about whether I like which one more or one or the other. They both got awesome songs on them. I wasn't much of a fan of Big Brother and the Holding Company. That was a bit too edgy for me. And then as we grew up, I got into Yellow Brick Road. I loved the Yellow Brick Road, and we both were influenced by some of those early Elton John albums, and then Zeppelin 4. Well, Led Zeppelin, no number.
And who wouldn't be?
That's right. And then one of the albums which I still have, I just listened to just the other day, Bad Company, the Bad Company album. What a great album. It was a big album when we were growing up. It was an album that was always played at any parties that we went to and any of those sorts of things. So they were influential albums to me, and I that's part of you've talked about how your mind becomes molded to the music you listen to from sort of 15 through to 25, and it's very I don't think you lose that neuroplasticity to music, and that's where my brain was from probably 12 to 17. I was listening to that stuff, so that's why I'm probably in my musical taste, I'm a bit conservative compared to you. So yeah, it's interesting. But
your list is not a bad list, mate.
No, but it's still there's some music that comes in later. I still love U2, early U2. Unforgettable Fire is my Unforgettable Fire, and Joshua Tree, my two favourite albums from U2. 801 Live. I still listen to that. I still listen to that today. I still put that on the radio, in the car. Jeff Beck was another big influence to me. And I've seen Beck a couple of times. I saw him not that long, only a few years ago, and loved him as well. And you went and saw him with him, but you're not really into that sort of instrumental concert, just instruments going all the time. That sort of stuff. It's not really your cup of tea. Whereas I used to love it. I still do. I still love listening to Jeff Beck Wide. I still love listening to that live album with the Yarn Hammer Group, which probably half the world thinks it's shit, but I kind of love it, and I really do listen to it. So interesting. But there's songs that, when I was going through your list, I thought, Neil Young. Oh, yeah, I love that album. So interesting. Just two different. We grew up around the corner from each other, yet we grew up with two very different influences from music, which I find, which is interesting, because we grew up close yet musically apart.
Yep.
And you have always been the edgy one when it comes to music compared to me. I've always liked listening to a more traditional guitar solo. You've always been wanted to be challenged by a guitar solo.
Yeah. Some of the great memories I have are responses, you and some of our other mates, to stuff that I've brought home or brought in. Yeah, I remember your vitriolic comments about 10:15 on a Saturday night by The Cure.
I still remember when you come wandering with Stranded.
Yeah.
And I said, and I went, oh, and we was with another friend. We were at another friend's house, and you come and say, oh, look what I got. I went, oh yeah, what's that? Sort of thing. Oh, it's a good cover. I assume it's shit music. But I mean, I love the album now, but I wasn't mad keen on it back in those days,
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have preferred to listen to China Grove by the Doobie Brothers. I would have preferred to listen to Bad Company or The Angels, I know these sorts of these aren't unbelievable things, but I wouldn't have listened to Roxy music in my teens. In fact, I didn't listen to Roxy music in my teens at all.
No.
It just wasn't something I listened to. But Viva Roxy is, whilst not on my list, one of my favourite albums that I still play today. So probably not an influential album to me, but still one of the favourite, on my top 10 playlist, which is interesting. It's a different. I have changed over as time has gone on, and I think when you and I were living in Sin together.
No, it was Wiley Park, man, not Sin.
Wiley Park.
That was the next suburb.
You influenced me a bit at that time. Anyway, give me one more on your list, mate.
One more, Neil Young.
Yeah.
Powderfinger. Rust Never Sleeps.
So once again, go back to when we were growing up and when we used to hang out with other people. We had a large group of friends we were growing up with. Harvest was the album, wasn't it? It was Harvest. Everybody.
And it still is. If you mention Neil Young to people, they'll say, I love Harvest.
But this is...
Which you can't go wrong with.
No, there's nothing wrong with the album. It's a great album. And I also love Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. But this album is...
It's a little more challenging than Harvest.
It's one of the best.
It is indeed. It frequently tops the list of Neil Young's best work. And I've mentioned a UK magazine that I think highly of called Mojo in the UK. And they regularly do this. They pick an artist and get 300 to 500 people in the industry to rate their choices of what that artist's work. And they did one for Neil Young and Harvest naturally in the top 3. But this album, by a long shot, was number 1. One side acoustic, one side rock and roll.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Almost as good as The Noise.
Well, yeah. Look, I know we've talked about that before, and I was unduly harsh about The Noise. No, I wasn't. It's crap, absolute crap. But it just goes to show that someone even as talented as Neil Young, who I rated at God level, can still put out rubbish.
Yeah. And he does. He's still got some mediocre albums there. And some very mediocre songs, but he's still a god of music. Without
he is indeed. Imagine being a leader in 2 distinct genres. Rock and roll / he's credited as the godfather of grunge music,
true.
And in that sort of more LA California folk type of music that he's more well known for,
and totally prolific in his time. They're still going through his tapes that he made 40 years ago, 50 years ago, trying to work out if there's anything coming out of that marijuana muddled mine that's a gold mine, which there usually is, because everything he wrote was marijuana muddled.
Or whatever they find, it's going to be a punt on what it is and who's on it, because his record keeping, as you've said, is appalling.
But as I did say to you once before, it is He used to label every tape that they produced. So he would have he'd put it in the case and he'd put it morning. Afternoon.
Yeah. Rust never sleeps. Like television, like a lot of stuff, and we've had a few discussions about the difference between live in the studio and not, or a live album. Rust Never Sleeps was recorded in the studio in live, so playing with the band all together. So it's really got that energy. Even the acoustic stuff has got that energy that Neil Young at his best can really deliver. It's the sort of thing he gets live. You've seen Neil Young live.
No,
Yep. And even when he's playing really awful stuff like Greendale, he's still a lot of fun and a great sound.
Yeah, no, and he's passionate about his music, and I was going through his one of his books, one of his autobiographies, and he gets onto his bloody car. Have you heard about his electric car that he has?
Yeah.
And it's not the car that's the most important thing, because he's into the biofuel and that stuff, but it's the stereo system that's in the car. That's the important stuff. And he sunk a lot of money into these stereo system because he hates MP3s.
Can't blame him.
Lots of people do, but you've kind of got to move away, because you can listen to all just if you're interested, folks, if you want to listen to all your music in high fidelity online, there are ways to do that. So Tidal is one of the services. If you buy Tidal, you'll get high fidelity music of all your music if you want to.
What's the data impact?
Still small. I mean, the amount of data you have with your internet plans nowadays is just so huge. You can't chew it up, even if you're watching 4K movies.
I suppose, yeah.
No, you can't chew it up. So you're getting like 500 to a terabyte of downloads. And we're downloading, we're listening to streaming music, streaming TV all the time, and I think I'm using like 10-15% at the most.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I need my son back. He was able to get it back up. He could chew through it, but
keep it going, mate.
Yeah, that's right. But there's no point paying for a 20 gig plan when it doesn't cost you any more for a 500 gig plan virtually. I mean, 20 gigs is a bit stupid, but anyway, yeah. So Rust Never Sleeps is truly one of the big ones. 1979 though, gee, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's very frightening. Yeah. But he's a bowerbird. The name of Rust Never Sleeps. Yeah, it seems obvious, when you look at it. But he actually pinched that from an ad for a rust proofing compound.
Is that right?
For cars. Put this on your car because rust never sleeps.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
You haven't got any Cave on there. There's no Nick Cave in your list, mate.
I tried to have an abridged list. I do love Tender Prey. It's because it's got Mercy Seat on it, and as an album, it holds together very nicely rather. Firstborn is Dead, one of his very very early albums, a lot of blues type stuff with Tupelo on it.
Yeah, that's right.
So some of his wonderful stuff. As I said, it's really hard. I would have had to have sat down and worked out what I like about each of the albums that I've got, why I bought it, and give each of those factors a weighting.
So look, let's finish off. Give me a Zevon album that you would throw in your list.
Sentimental Hygiene.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. Good album. Yeah.
Sentimental Hygiene. If you like Warren Zevon, and I think we both do, given that Warren's even on your list here.
Yes.
Sentimental Hygiene, recorded in 1987 after he'd gone through rehab for the umpteenth time.
Yep.
He just lost his
mansion.
Yep, he just lost his wife, Crystal, who was, according to him and according to his many friends, the only woman he really loved. He had lots of relationships, but the only woman he really loved. And she said, "Warren, I can't do this anymore. I love you, but we ain't going to be together anymore," because he was a chronic drinker, a chronic alcoholic, and alcohol destroyed everything that he ever did in his life. And he admitted it himself. Everything he ever did in his life was destroyed by alcohol. And so Sentimental Hygiene, he came out of detox for the last time, and he stayed sober up until the year before he died of terminal cancer.
Ah.
Okay, and it's so strong. It's got REM backing him.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so tight and punchy, and the songs on it. If you didn't, I know that you've got a thing for Excitable Boy, and who can argue with that?
True.
Excitable Boy is an absolutely wonderful album as well. But there's so much more meaning for me in Sentimental Hygiene, and that's why I select that one.
All right, I'm putting that in my back of my playlist. We'll put a link to it in the show notes too. Just to remind people. Look, we're going to wrap it up, folks, and I want to thank you for dropping in and having a listen to us today. And don't forget, tell your friends about us, Mick and the Fat Man, talking life, music and everything. Listen to us on Apple, Stitcher, wherever you can find us. We're on all good streaming sites. Drop us a line if you want to on the email, mickandthefatman@gmail.com. Have a look, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. And remember, we love you, baby.